In the news tonight, His Majesty the Supreme Commander attends the burial of a Jordanian soldier who fell in the battle for Jerusalem, and his remains were brought home. The Syrian army says it is in the final stages of recapturing Aleppo. And several thousand Iraqi police are ready to join the assault against Daesh militants in East Mosul. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty the King received cables of good wishes as Jordan and the Arab and Muslim worlds celebrated the Prophet Muhammad's birth anniversary. In their cables, leaders of Arab and Muslim countries wished the King good health and the people of Jordan continued progress and prosperity. Cables also came to the royal court from the Prime Minister, the Parliament speakers, heads of security agencies and other senior officials and local leaders. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein also received similar cables from civic and military leaders who commended King Abdullah's efforts in global forums to defend Islam and clarify the faith's noble values and bright image. His Majesty the King, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, attended the burial of a Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army soldier who fell in the battle for Jerusalem. The soldier's remains were brought to the kingdom and was given full military honors during the burial at the Martyrs Memorial in Amman. The monument was reopened in a ceremony, part of the kingdom's celebrations of the centennial of the Great Arab Revolt. The Supreme Commander was on hand to welcome the soldiers' remains, which were brought home at dawn today from a Jordan Army cemetery in Jerusalem. The King watched a parade by a special infantry unit of the Honor Guard. Prime Minister Hani Molqi led a ceremony on behalf of His Majesty the King to honor the winners of the King Abdullah II Award for Creativity. The Arts Award went to Jordanian author Jamal Naji, while the Science Award was won by a three-member working group comprising Aouni Atoum, Fehmi Abul Rub, and Hassan Abdul Latif and May Salam. The Arab City Award was shared by Sheikh Jawahir bin Mohammed bin Sultan Al Qasimi of the United Arab Emirates and a Jordanian working task force comprising Samir Khair, Qamar Nabulsi and Lara Al Hadid. The award, which is divided into the categories of art, science and the Arab City, is given every 2 years to municipalities, organizations and individuals with projects resulting in substantial national and societal advancement. 14 Arab states participated in the award's 8th edition, represented by 83 competitors. The Syrian army and its allies are in the final stages of recapturing Aleppo after a sudden advance that has pushed rebels to the brink of collapse. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the rebels withdrew from all districts on the east side of the Aleppo River after losing Sheikh Said in the south of their pocket in overnight fighting. More in this report.
The Syrian army says it now has a stranglehold on the embattled city of Aleppo. Forces recaptured the Sheikh Said district Sunday night, pushing rebels to the brink of collapse. Lieutenant General Zaid al-Salah says the city's recapture is imminent.
The battle is at its end. Only 10% of eastern Aleppo remains in the rebels' hands.
The district here is largely destroyed, with the bombardment continuing non-stop overnight. Pro-government forces now have their eyes set on the districts of Karam al-Dada and Fardus. Residents say they're still coming to grips with the loss of life.
We rebuild it. It is nothing compared to the youth who died. We can rebuild the stone, but we can't rebuild our homeland.
The city's fall would deal a stunning blow to rebels fighting to remove President Bashar al-Assad from power. But with much of Syria outside Aleppo still in rebel hands or under Islamic State control, the war is far from over.
The Russian Defense Ministry was quoted as saying the United States' decision to suspend active operations in Syria's Raqqa had allowed Daesh militants to redeploy to the ancient city of Palmyra. Daesh recaptured Palmyra despite dozens of Russian airstrikes to push back the militants a day after they briefly seized the city in eastern Syria. In the government's first official admission that Palmyra had fallen once again to the militants, state media quoted the governor of the province of Homs as saying the army had pulled out of the city. The recapture of Palmyra is a major reversal for Syria's government and its Russian ally. Syria topped the agenda as European Union foreign ministers met in Brussels. As he arrived at the EU Council, French Foreign Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault accused Russia of lying about its willingness to negotiate a ceasefire in Aleppo. He said Moscow was intentionally deceiving its partners. His comments come 2 days after France hosted a meeting of countries that oppose President Bashar al-Assad, including France, Britain, Turkey and Saudi Arabia. Several thousand Iraqi police are ready to join the assault against Daesh terrorists in East Mosul. The federal police units, around 4,000 strong, have been moved to southeast of the city, near an area where an army tank division last week made the deepest incursion into Mosul so far. They seized Al Salam Hospital less than a mile from the Tigris River, which runs through the center of Mosul. A police official said they are currently near Karakush, about 15 kilometers from the southeast edge of the city, and are fully prepared to start the attack to control the eastern side of Mosul. Iraqi forces said yesterday they had captured another district of East Mosul, the Al-Nur neighborhood. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said a suicide bomber carried out an attack that killed 24 people at Cairo's main cathedral. Security forces have arrested 3 men and a woman in connection with the bombing. Speaking at a state funeral for the victims, Sisi identified the suicide bomber as a 22-year-old Shafiq Mustafa. He said security forces were seeking another 2 fugitives believed to be involved in the attack. The Egyptian leader called for tougher or tighter laws to help deter further attacks. The death toll from the bomb attack rose to 26, with 49 injured, 10 of them in critical condition. Turkish warplanes carried out airstrikes against Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK targets in northern Iraq. They destroyed a headquarters of the militants and surrounding gun positions and shelters. The strikes came hours after PKK offshot claimed responsibility for Saturday night's twin bombings outside an Istanbul football stadium. The death toll has risen to 44. 36 of them are police officers. This report has more.
The death toll in Saturday's Istanbul bombings has risen to 44, according to the country's health ministry. 36 of the dead were police officers. Wreaths laid Monday morning at a makeshift memorial outside the Vodafone Arena, where the blasts took place. Responsibility for the twin suicide attacks has now been claimed by an offshoot of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. Turkey wasting no time in making its response, with an emergency cabinet meeting held Sunday. President Tayyip Erdogan vowing vengeance against the perpetrators. Hours later, warplanes began hitting PKK targets in northern Iraq, destroying a headquarters used by the militants. As Istanbul mourned, there were more detentions across the nation too. Turkish police holding about 235 people following raids across the country. They targeted officials from the pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party. Ankara regularly accuses the party of links to the PKK. Its leaders have already been jailed on similar charges.
Christine Lagarde, the International Monetary Fund chief, faced a special court in Paris. She is charged with negligence over her role in a $424 million payout of taxpayer money to a businessman in 2008. The 60-year-old Lagarde was France's finance minister in the government of then-President Nicolas Sarkozy when she approved an out-of-court settlement with businessman Bernard Tapie to end a long-running dispute between the magnate and the French state. She is accused of negligence leading to misuse of public funds, but she denies any wrongdoing. If convicted, Lagarde risks up to a year in jail and a fine of $16,000. Lagarde's lawyer told journalists that the misuse of public funds itself had yet to be demonstrated in other cases which were still ongoing. In London, crowds took to the streets of Greenwich for one of the most unusual races in the UK, the London Pantomime Horse Race. The event is now into its 7th year with 22 pairs of people dressed up in costumes, many of them in cow or horse outfits, and raced a quarter-mile through the streets of Greenwich. The teams were made up of paired runners, with one wearing the head and another the back end of the costume. Two Greenwich locals, Richard Pearson and his son James, were crowded winners as Team Mexico at the end. And finally, cold and partly cloudy tonight with a slim chance for light showers in the northern region of the kingdom. Frost formation is also expected after midnight in the hilly areas and the Badia. Tomorrow, a cold air front will cross the country, sending temperatures dipping further with rainfall in the northern and central parts. Winds will be brisk, turning dusty in southern and eastern regions, and gusty at 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. The Gulf of Aqaba can expect cool conditions tonight, but it will be relatively hot or fair during the day with a high of 22 degrees, northerly winds and somewhat choppy seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to close your top stories once again, His Majesty the Supreme Commander attends the burial of a Jordanian soldier who fell in the battle for Jerusalem, and his remains were brought home. The Syrian army says it is in the final stages of recapturing Aleppo. And several thousand Iraqi police are ready to join the assault against Daesh militants in East Mosul. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Leo Balka. Thank you for watching and have a good night.